life, there is no way in hell I would stand for reinstatement of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Marcia Healy, the Norman Means.
Good morning. I want to thank you very much for coming. Thank you for serving. I know it's a difficult position that you're in, and I really appreciate you, disrupting your lives to go to Juneau. I am from Palmer. I've lived here in the state for 40 years, and so I was here in the 70s when they did create the PFD. And as you know, we're currently in a tremendous budget crisis. And I know that cutting and finding efficiencies has to be part of the solution. But if you cut every job in the state, it wouldn't close the gap. So I just don't think that that's the solution to cut alone. It seems to me that the function of government is to provide essential services and to jobs and to drive the economy. That's a big thing that people don't realize. The government drives the economy to a large extent. I think it's time that we're going to have to find other revenue sources to balance everything. And I want to remind everybody that the PFD was a rainy day fund. It was set up in order to be available when oil ran out or when the revenues dropped, and I'm afraid that that's where we are now. And it's a good thing it's been preserved until this point. And I know it's not popular, but I just really think that we have to find ways to find new sources of revenue, and we have to all pull together. We are a great state, we are a great people, and we can cooperate, and we can find ways to solve this in a positive way. We trust you guys to do that, and I hope everyone else will too. We've had a really cushy time of it all these 35 years. I mean, what state pays its citizens, And so I'm not proposing to cut the PFD out, but maybe cap it. Use the earnings. We just have to all compromise. And as I say, I really appreciate you coming today and being our legislators. And I hope we can find a positive way out of all this mess. Thank you.
Thank you. Norman Means, followed by Joe Eman.
Hello, and thank you for coming. My name is Norman Means. I'm a resident here of the Palmer area. Can you hear me? Even closer. Oh, very good. And I don't envy the three of you for what you have to do here. I think it's very difficult. And the German Chancellor von Bismarck is famously quoted as saying that politics is the art of possible. What is not possible is making things mathematically, violating the rules and laws of mathematics. 3 does not equal 5. Okay, 3 cannot equal 5. And so, looking at budgets, as Representative Hughes has put out a graph showing where we are spending money here as a state, it is impossible to balance the budget without cutting the budget in areas where, where it's largest. And those areas are in social service spending, and that's mainly Medicaid, and in education. It's simply not possible to do that. So those cuts are going to have to be made because 3 cannot equal 5. Now, we've heard a lot of special interests here, a lot of people talking about, protect this, protect that. We even have people coming in from out of the district hijacking our own town hall here. But you're going to hear something from me that you don't hear from many people. I'm going to speak against my interests. I'm a physician, as you know. I'm going to advocate you cut Medicaid. That's going to hit me in the pocketbook, okay? But it has to be done. And we're all going to have to take a hit. Every one of us, and we're going to have to take that hit because we cannot balance, 3 cannot equal 5. It's just that simple. Finally, I take exception to the people here who have been speaking out about e-cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't use e-cigarettes. However, I do advocate them to my patients. They are one of the most effective ways to get people off of cigarette smoking. And in spite of what you've heard, the scientific evidence does not show any great deal of harm from them. Nicotine itself is not harmful, and the other things are present in only very minor amounts. The scientific evidence is full of terms like might be harmful and needs further research, but basically they're not finding any harm. The government of the UK has actually gone so far as to release papers supporting their use as tobacco cessation aids, and they've even gone so far as to put them e-cigarettes on the National Health Service formulary for people to use. So I would encourage you that as you look at this, do not do things that would discourage people from being able to transition from cigarettes over to e-cigarettes, because and you're going to do harm, you're going to hurt people by doing that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Norman. Joe Eman, followed by Helen Munoz.
Good morning. It's so good to see you here. I'm sure you have seen me many times. I'd like to speak on two issues. The first one is education. The second one is on seniors. In education, we are at a crossroads where we have to do something. And I understand, you know, we have to cut in different places. But teachers are not the start. We have to keep our teachers. When I first started 25 years ago, I'm a retired bilingual teacher. We had approximately 27, 28 students. Now, most of the teachers have 38, some have 40 in their classroom. And I don't see how we can cut our teachers and still advance our education to the point that it should be. If we need to cut, you need to look at maybe, and I hate to say this, administrators, people that are above, that can be shortened a little bit, where the list can be, instead of 3 or 4, can we just have maybe 2? And that's my plea for you. We're not doing what we need to do for our young people. They're our future. Now, as far as the seniors, as you know, I am a member of the board here at the Senior Center. I'm vice president. I am also a senior. I've lived here 56 years and I've seen it grow. As you know, that the Matsu Valley is the largest growing senior population in the United States. And this was, a survey was taken, and we have many seniors that need help. There are some that don't, but we do have many seniors that need to be helped, and we need to continue. I know at this beautiful center that we are going to have to cut some things to make, to reach the goals that we want and to reach the goals that you want us. But please help us as much as you can, and remember that we have already served our time and we are looking for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Helen Munoz. Is Helen still here? I certainly am. Oh, here she comes. And after Helen will be Allison Halpin.
I don't need a microphone.
I know.
Good morning. I'm glad to see you all here, and I'm quiet. But I am working for the next generation. And I like clean water. Did anybody read the article in the paper yesterday about what's happening with salmon in Puget Sound? And you people are closer to it than we are, right? I've been working 44 years in this borough, and I'm from New York, by the way, and Governor Hammond was born there. So I come from a good part of the country, believe it or not, and I did not live in New York City. But I've been working 44 years to take care of 85% of our present population that are on septic tanks. And I do have a favorite expression about I was not in the lowest business in the world. There's one that's lower. You know, I won't reiterate on that. But anyway, I'm not dying until seeing this done. And I'm 85 years old. And if I was this tall, you'd see me coming, or hear me coming. Because I don't know how much more basic I can get. It took me 10 years to get about education. I'm a high school graduate, a business school graduate, been in private enterprise all my life, have buried 2 sons, and by the way, 1 with AIDS. And I went into the schools in this borough in 1995. I started over in the Parma Junior Middle School because my son was dying of AIDS in a very macho family. Can you imagine? Did you think he ever went out on the pump truck with his father? No. He went on to college and had his own agency. And when I saw him 2 years before he died, down in LA. I was in his apartment and said, hey Mom, when you go back to Palmer, talk to Darlene Reed, who was our public health nurse, and go into the schools and talk about AIDS. This is 1995. Who in Palmer talked about AIDS, or anybody they even knew? Now they approach me. Well, I have a friend, I have this, I have that. And I didn't answer them quick enough because I said, oh, darling, I might be older than you, I'm your mother, but I'm not ready to leave the planet yet because I've got work to do. And Stephen said to me, if you can reach one kid, Mom, it's worth your effort. Now, how are you going to say no to your son of that? I love Stephen. I had 5 kids. 4 were boys, very macho, and then I had a girl. But I loved all of them equally. But anyway, I'm not through fighting. And if I had the hands raised here, I'd like to see how many of you are on septic tanks and don't live. There's 100,000, and 15% of our population is on city sewer, and that's Palmer and Wasilla. And Palmer took us for 6 years, hauled to Anchorage. I've been on 2 committees appointed by the borough to get something so basic that I shouldn't have to stand here and talk about. But thank you very much for coming, and I like you all.
Thank you, Ellen. Allison Halpin is followed by Melanie Glapp.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Allison Halpin. I am. Sorry, I don't like microphones. I'm a nervous speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Allison Halpin. I am a lifelong Alaskan, minus 3 years. I am also a former smoker. I quit smoking using an e-cigarette. I tried everything. Everything. Nothing got me off. These bills that are proposed right now, you're going to destroy a good opportunity for people to get off cigarettes. It's wrong. 100% wholesale tax. Ridiculous. You're going to destroy shops that educate their customers on safety. The incident, somebody spoke up earlier about an e-cigarette exploding in somebody's pocket. It was not an e-cigarette. It was a lithium-ion battery. When those are not held in a case, like a laptop or a cell phone or a device, yes, if they hit metal, they can conduct. That's part of a battery. That's how they work. These shops, I work for one, we teach safety. We encourage people to ask questions. I encourage all of the representatives, please, come down and talk to us. We will help you. We will help you understand. We'll ask questions. Studies can be construed on both sides, for or against. Public Health England, somebody also mentioned that earlier, that can also be misconstrued on both sides. I ask all of you to ask anybody who currently vapes how it has helped them. I went from having pneumonia every single year for the last 5 years I smoked to not having a cold in 3 years. And I just encourage all of you to oppose these bills because they're ridiculous. You're pushing the demographic of people that smoke away from a safer alternative. People that smoke are people that have depression, people that are low income, people that have problems already in the medical fields, and they're smoking because they can't force it. Nicotine has been proven to help people with Parkinson's and depression disorders, as well as Alzheimer's. So please reconsider these bills. We're not smokers. I am a tobacco-free person, and I have been for 3 years because of vaping.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Melanie Black, followed by Crystal Nygaard. I think we have Melanie coming. There you go.
My name is Melanie Glott. Thank you for coming to Palmer and allowing all of us to speak. My husband and I have been residents of Alaska since the mid-'80s. We reside in Palmer and have been property taxpayers here in Palmer since 1993. I have comments on a number of items. Number one, keep cutting spending. I know of 5 areas right off the bat that the state could save more money. I encourage everyone in the audience to write in on the state's idea line as to how to save money. We need diligent folks to thoroughly investigate these ideas and hopefully implement some of these ideas. Number two, use part of the earnings reserves to offset the fiscal gap, but continue to keep cutting in the future. I support Shelley Hughes' bill to use the earnings reserve. 3, I do not support an income tax. This would only impact people who work. If an income tax does come to fruition, I do support a tax on people on welfare and disability, native corporation dividends, nonprofits, and taxing property owners that live in non-taxable areas, such as unincorporated boroughs. Everyone needs to have skin in the game. Number 4, I do support a statewide minimum 2% sales tax, but not on groceries. 5, I do support a non-resident occupational tax. Number 6, given that the federal government has put so much of our land off limits for generating revenue, such as in the oil, gas, mining, timber, etc. industries, I believe that the feds should either be taxed, pay rent, or pay a royalty to the state for their parks, wilderness areas, national monuments, reserves, etc. I would encourage the state to align themselves with other states on this matter, particularly the western states. 7, please continue with the large export gas pipeline regarding permits, but do not build it yet. However, do pursue a small pipeline to serve Fairbanks and North Pole so that they can better deal with their air quality problems and get the EPA off their backs. Number 9, as to the Governor's House Bill 250, I encourage everyone to pay attention. As I discussed with Shelley already, it is misleading in that the bill says that a person can simply write off this tax on their federal forms. This is not the case on either the Schedule A nor Form AZ, and it's troubling that the governor would suggest this. The governor has additional taxes he'd also like to see, such as real estate taxes and estate taxes. This will crush the real estate industry and would serve as another death tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Crystal Nygaard, followed by Barbara Miller.
Hi, my name is Crystal Nygaard. I want to thank you guys for being here today. Most of you know I'm a small business private sector champion, and I'm also the co-founder of the Matsu Business Alliance. I moved to Alaska in 1975. My dad was an oil field worker, my mom was a realtor, and we lived in the valley in the 80s. And when dad was unemployed and my mom was at a lot of houses for sale, the first thing they did is pulled us kids together. What assets do we have? What assets can we get working? And what they taught me is you never rely on the government, you don't wait for the government, but if the government listens, you can be a great asset to the government. So today I'm standing here representing the Matsu Business Alliance, which I co-founded 7 years ago, to give small business a voice. How many here in the room own a small business? How many work for the private sector? This letter is for you. The Matsu Business Alliance is concerned about the effect the state budget will have on our local businesses. We as business owners are trying to keep our finances properly managed, keep residents employed, and when necessary, cut our non-essential expenses to weather this fiscal storm. It hasn't been easy, but we have taken a long-term view and summoned the discipline necessary to keep what's required to keep our businesses viable. We know that if we want to survive, our expenses cannot exceed our revenues. MSBA has proactively reached out and asked our business owners what they think is the most important action needed in Juneau. Repeatedly, they've given us the same answer: cut the state budget. We note that both the House and the Senate are currently hearing a number of bills that would impose various taxes on Alaskans. The MSBA and the majority of Matsu voters have been very clear and consistent in response to talk about taxes. Before you ask us to take money out of our pockets and pay for government programs and services, we expect you to substantially reduce the size and the cost of government. It is time to incentivize the marketplace, not tax the marketplace, until the government gets its spending habits under control. I'll give you an example. You can redefine how the federal government shows what a small business is. The Affordable Care Act is hurting some of our smallest businesses here. Those that have a service that have 51 employees are getting penalized and they're getting taxed. This is not how you